break. Do remember, coming up at 5 minutes after 10, we will be speaking with Bishop Nathanyel right here on VYBEZ Radio. Okay, all right, thank you so very much. All right, thank you so very much. And it is now exactly 11 minutes sliding down after 10. And it's time for us to say good morning to Bishop Nathanyel. And he is back with us, and we are happy to have him back with us here on VYBEZ 96.3 FM. Good morning to you, Bishop. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. Again, I'm Bishop Nathanyel of Israel United in Christ, and our website is www.israelunite.org for your listeners.
All right, sir, and we are happy to have you with us, like I said before, on VYBEZ Radio, and I hope that after this discussion that we'll be having here, I'll feel much better from the influenza that has been affecting me.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I pray the Most High heals you, brother. I really do.
All right. This morning...
I'll try not to go in too hard. I know you don't feel up to the weather. I'll take it easy today.
It's a sin to keep a man down. You know. If your brother is down, you must help him up.
Yes. Yes, so, sir.
How are things in New York, Bishop?
The things are good in New York. However, you know, as we know, the world's philosophical goal is to normalize homosexuality, just as they're currently doing in Jamaica and many of the Caribbean islands, and in fact throughout the world.
Okay. Before we go into this morning's topic, we want to be looking at the Antichrist and the mark of the beast. We'll get your perspective on that. Let me just ask you your assessment of what has been taking place in the world. What are your thoughts of first of the Paris bombings?
The Paris bombing is scriptural. It is totally scriptural. When you read the book of Habakkuk, okay, I want your listeners to get the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, and I'll start at verse 7. Yes. Because many people, especially Christians, don't understand what's going on biblically. So it is my job and duty to help our people. I'll read it. Habakkuk 2 and 7 says, "Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee? And thou shalt be for booties unto them, because thou hast spoiled many nations. All the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land of the city, and of all that dwell therein." So the important part we want in verse 7, when it says, "Shall they not rise up and awake?" To rise up and awake means to come from what? Sleep. We have a popular term in the world today called sleeper cells.
Yes.
Okay? When these people get their call and directive, they awake and do their duty, which is to bring down America and her allies. That's what we're seeing in Paris, France today. France has been an ally of America for many, many centuries. And it has been France that had the colonial pact with Africa to pay colonial tax. So now you have many nations, particularly Arab nations, which are Ishmael in the Bible, rising up and trying their best to destroy America and her allies. That's what we're seeing in the world today, biblical prophecy.
What is your take, Bishop Nathanyel, on this push for climate change and this climate change summit that is now currently on in Paris, France?
The push for climate change, this is mindless rhetoric. The climate is being affected because of the nuclear testings and things of that nature. That's why, let me read Revelation chapter 18 for you. Bear with me a second. Let me see if I even got the right scripture in my head.
Yes.
Bear with me. Let me get it. The Most High says that he will destroy those who are destroying his earth. Okay, it's not Revelation. It's 11:18. Bear with me.
Yes.
Revelation chapter 11 and it says, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants, prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great.
Yes.
Here comes, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. So Christ returning is to destroy those that destroy the earth. The climate change is being affected because of nuclear testings and things of that nature. They have satellites in space. All these things are affecting the climate of the world. So Christ will destroy them. That is his promise. Okay, why? Because we need the earth, we need the air, we need the food. We don't need the GMOs and things of that nature. It's killing us. It's killing everything. This is the only race, the so-called white man is the only race that will make foods that destroy the land and the people. They're the only ones that has ever done that historically. You understand that, Mr. Hyper?
Yes, yes. All right, now, so we can, with that said, we can just go straight into what we are going to talk about today, the Antichrist. So after you have laid the foundation, basically, with what is happening in the world, and the Antichrist now. What is the Antichrist, and what is the system all about? Let's start right there.
Okay, as we all know, the word anti means against.
Yes.
Christ, against Christ, against the anointed.
Yes.
Okay, that's what Antichrist is. When you read the book of 1 John, it says there are many Antichrists. There's not one guy running. Many in Christianity, I remember growing up in Christianity, and they would teach us that there's one guy running throughout the earth with sixes in his head. Mm-hmm. And the Bible says there are many Antichrists, not just one, but
yes.
many. You understand that, Mr. Hyper?
Yes.
Okay, so the many that the Bible is talking about is your friendly neighborhood white man. He is the main Antichrist in the world, because everything he does, from the image of Jesus Christ to the worshiping of holidays, is against Christ. Understand?
All right. You made mention there that while growing up in church, they told you that there's this one guy running around with 666. But Revelation 13:16 to 18 did state that it is the number of a man, and it's singular. I would like you to explain that. Revelation 13:16 to 18.
Very good. Let's get it. Revelation 13. Now, before I get there, let me preempt by saying this. Many of your listeners, particularly the listeners in Jamaica, many of them, they write us and want to know who the Antichrist is and what are the last days prophesied to be.
Yes.
First thing that our people must know and acknowledge is that they are the Israelites, that Jesus Christ looks like them, and that we as a people went into slavery for breaking God's commandments. Knowing who the Antichrist is will not give our people salvation. That's how I want to preempt that.
Right.
So now, I'll go to Revelation 13.
Yes.
That no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man.
Right.
And his number is 666. So now, the man it's talking about is not one man, it's talking about a race of man. Like we use the term mankind, it's using the term, it is the number of a man. What, now you have to identify what man in the earth is God against. Remember, you ever read Romans 9:13? Where Paul says, as it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Remember that?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Our people jump to the book. Let me ask you a question, Mr. Hyper. When you read the Bible, do you start at the beginning of a book, or do you start at the middle or ending?
No, you have to start at the beginning, and when you're reading the Bible, you have to go precepts upon precepts, here a little, there a little.
Very good, very good. When you read throughout the Bible, there's one man, particular one race of mankind that God hates. Use the word hate. And it is the race of Esau, which is the nation of Edom. That's who he's talking about. So when you get to Revelation, where it's an allegory, a metaphor, it says generic terms like man. It is the number of a man. This man is an Antichrist. This man. It's going to assessment, gives you the name of that man. It says Esau, Edom, or Idumea, which is the same name as Edom.
Yes.
Okay? So now, for example, look at verse 16. I'll read 17. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Buying and selling, under Christianity, they lead you to believe that the mark of the beast is a computer chip that is going to be put in your right hand or in your skull, and you can't buy sneakers or candy bars.
But in fairness, though, Bishop Nathaniel, that is just one school of thought. There are others who also believe that the 666 man is the Pope of Rome.
Okay, I'll explain that.
And because of Revelation 17, I believe, that it says, you know, it's seated up on 7 hills and so on, and the Vatican itself the Vatican proper is built on 7 hills and so on. So there's another school of thought also that points to that. It's not just those who believe that it will be a microchip.
Okay, so first off, the microchip is total foolishness.
Yes.
It's foolish. Although they are attempting to make microchips, that they are doing, but that is not what the Bible is talking about. I'll give an example of Revelation 18. What we all must understand is that the Bible explains itself. So in terms of buying or selling, right, when we get to Revelation 18, for example, I'll start at verse 10. It says, Revelation 18:10, standing afar off for the fear of her torment. The her is Babylon is destroyed. It says, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. Now watch this about buying and selling.
Yes.
And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. Then he begins, John names the merchandise that is no longer being bought.
Right.
Bought or sold. Let me get to the key point is what I want, verse 13. 12 is long, I'll just jump down to the point, verse 13. These are some of the things that were bought and sold. It says, and cinnamon and odors and ointments, and frankincense and wine and oil, and fine flour and wheat, and beasts and sheep and horses, and chariots and slaves and souls of men. So the Bible is letting you know what would no longer be bought and sold. One part that people omit is slaves and souls of men. That is us. We were the slave. We are the slaves, rather,
yes,
who have been bought, who have been purchased and sold for profit from nation to nation. That is us.
Yes.
We are those slaves, the Israelites. That's who we are. That is who we be. And I find out that that is a key factor that many of these religious schools of thought omit slavery. They refuse to acknowledge that the slaves, according to Deuteronomy 28, verse 15 through 16, are the slaves Revelation 18 and 13 makes mention of.
All right. Just to divert a little here, Bishop, on the slave trade, I need to ask you a question for clarity. Is the Israelites African?
Oh, well, I was pausing. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're asking, are the Israelites Africans?
Yes, because
okay.
I am current. I'm in a study that they are saying that the Israelites, they are not really Africans. The Ibu tribe. I need some clarification on that. They are from Israel, but they are not African per se, although they have a similar skin pigmentation.
Yes. If you remember the history of Moses in Exodus, the book of Exodus, especially in chapter 4, I'll read it for you, Exodus chapter 4, and then I'll jump down. Bear with me a second. Exodus chapter 4, I'll read verse 6 about the color, because many people, especially, I know Seventh-day Adventists, Jehovah's Witness, Baptists is big in the island of Jamaica.
Yes.
So what I'll do, I'll read Exodus 4 and 6 about Moses, just to prove that he was a black man.
Yes.
It says, this is what God says to Moses, and the Lord said furthermore unto him, put now thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. So the miracle behind that is that Moses' hand turned white. Now watch the next verse. And he said, put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. So what I want everyone to see is that Moses was a black man. God showed him a miracle that he is the true God by turning his hand leprous, white as snow. So Moses raised in the house of Pharaoh, Mr. Hyper. Now I'm getting back to your point.
Right.
Although Moses was black, although the children of Israel are a black-skinned people, we were not Egyptians. We were two different races of people. You understand that?
Yes, yes.
That's why in Exodus chapter 11, verse 7, it says, but against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue, against man or beast, that you may know how that the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. So although we look similar, Mr. Hyper, we were two different nations. 3/4 of the earth, Mr. Hyper, are black, meaning light brown to dark brown.
Right.
Called white man is the only red people where their blood shows through their skin. That's why they are called Edom. Edom means red. They are totally different from everyone on earth. Okay?
Right.
And Satan works through them. So, are we black people? Yes. But we ran from Israel into Africa when you read Luke 21, verse 20 on down, Mr. Hyper. Christ prophesied we would run into Africa.
Yes. No. Are you saying, or are you confirming then, Bishop, that the people that were sold to the slave trade, they were not Africans, but they were Israelites? So the Africans sold the Israelites into the slave trade. That's what I want to get from you.
Yes, sir. That is it 100%. The Africans, along with the Arabs, sold us to the white man according to Joel chapter 3. Now let me say this, Mr. Hyper. There's a remnant of our people who have remained throughout the west coast of Africa.
Yes.
Ghana, Accra, South Africa. You have the Lemba, as well as portions in Ethiopia, like when you read Zechariah or Zephaniah 3 and 10. There's a remnant of our people who stayed behind, and they're still suffering over there. But not all Africans are Israelites, but the seed of Israel is there, Mr. Hyper.
Since I'm on the topic, I'll just take it down to the half hour, then we'll get back to the core of our discussion. What is the distinct mark that separates the African from the Israelites? Because you said both were of dark skin pigmentation. So what is the mark that you can use to identify an Israelite vis-a-vis an African?
Okay, this is it. When we go to Romans, the book of Romans, I'll tell you what, I'll read what the Apostle Paul said about us. Because during Paul's time, the diaspora had already begun from the time of Assyria, Babylon. Romans chapter 8, verse 16 reads, the Spirit bears witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. The Spirit Paul was making reference to is the Word of God. When you read the curses in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, Mr. Hyper, it gives you, and if I may, let me, I want your listeners to listen good. I'm going to read two of the curses, if that's okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, Moses prophesied what would happen to the Israelites. Verse 20, Deuteronomy 28, I'm going to read verse 32. It says, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people. Thine eyes shall look and fear with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. So that was one of the curses, that the Israelites would be given to another race of people.
As I said before, I have been studying recently, and I've been studying now for the past, might be 6 weeks. Somebody brought it to my attention that we were always told that we are Africans and that it was the Africans that put us into slavery. But this gentleman says, no, we are Israelites. So, I started doing some research and, and digging deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And I came across the tribe that came to Jamaica that is known as the Igbo Christians, and they are from Israel. And so I still searching, still doing some research in that light. Anyhow, we're going to get some music up in here. Not ready for me on that side, is it? We're going to get some music up in here on VYBEZ Radio. And do remember, we're coming to you from South Lamar. All right, so 19 minutes moving up to 11 is your time. Let's see if we have Bishop back with us. Good morning again, Bishop. How you doing? Sounds much better this time round, sir. So glad you're back with us now. So let's pick up where we have left off there, Bishop.
Okay, I was explaining the first thing to understanding the mark of the beast.
Yes.
Understand what is the mark of God. And that's what many people don't understand.
Yes.
The mark of God, according to Ezekiel 9 verse 4 is where I began. And I'll read it in brief. It says, Ezekiel 9 verse 4 reads, "And the Lord said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the forehead of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof." So what's in your forehead? Your brain is in your forehead. So what is the mark that must be in our brains? Okay, it's God's laws. That's how you sigh and cry against abominations being done. For another example, Hebrews 8 and 10. "For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God. They shall be to me a people."
Yes.
So that's how you know that the mark of God is his laws.
So let me ask you this quick question then, as we take it step by step. So you're saying that a person who does not keep the commandment of God is not a true Christian? That's what you're saying?
Yes. Remember, the Christians were Israelites. He or she will fall under Baptist, Pentecostal, Seventh-day Adventists, Mormons, Muslims, and they will never be keeping the laws of God at all. For example, in Jamaica, they celebrate Christmas, right?
Yes. Well, a lot of people here don't, because I don't. And there are thousands of people here who...
They celebrate it here too. And many Christian groups do, but that is not a commandment or a law of God.
Yes.
God gave us a list of holidays, and most Christian churches, 9 out of 10, reject them. Okay? Mm-hmm. So they don't have the mark of God, but I tell you what mark they do have.
Yes. Yes.
The mark of the beast.
So why do you smile? Why do you smile? Like you're mocking them?
Well, no, I'm laughing because when we go on the street, Mr. Hyper, and we show our people the truth, it's not the white man that comes against us first. It is our own black brothers and sisters who fight vehemently against us.
Yes.
Like during the time of Christ. Before Rome got involved with the crucifixion of Christ, it was Christ's own people, those wicked religious leaders. It's always them. It was so then, so shall be today.
So are you saying that the mark varies then, or it is just one significant mark in it, that if you don't keep the 10 commandments, as what you said earlier, or the laws and the statutes of God, you are none of his?
Correct. You are none. Christ said, if you love me, keep my commandments. That is what he said.
What about the school of thought then, Bishop Nathanyel, that we are no longer under law, but we are now under grace?
Okay. That is the misinterpretation of Scripture set up by the National Council of Churches.
Yes.
We're no longer under law, but under grace. Law referring to the law of Moses with animal sacrifice. Grace referring to the law of sacrifice of Christ under the New Testament.
Yes.
That's what it's making reference to. Like Paul explains what we are not under in Hebrews, the 10th chapter. When you read from verse 1 down, it says God said away with the sacrifices. He would accept only one sacrifice which is Christ. So that is the only laws that we are not under. Those laws that pertain to the sacrificial laws. Okay?
Yes.
Now,
So what?
let me give you an example, another example. Okay?
Yes.
In terms of the mark of the beast, many people go, how do you know what it is? It's not just a religious thing. It's a political thing.
Yes.
It's a policy, philosophy. For example, many of the great rappers, or not rappers, reggae artists in Jamaica and many of the Caribbean islands, America gave them a contract.
Yes.
The contract is, if you want to make money, you are no longer allowed to sing, chant against homosexuality.
Okay.
Those rappers that signed the contract are making much money.
Yes.
Reject the contract, they are reduced to poverty, selling drugs, or little jobs here and there in dance halls.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But America laid the foundation. From there, America, under the Supreme Court set up, now we can no longer speak against homosexuality. Okay? That's a part of it. So the world's philosophical goal is the normalization of homosexuality. That is a part of the mark of the beast. It's just a part. It's not it in its entirety.
Yes.
Political agenda, a political policy. Let me ask you this, Mr. Hyper. In Jamaica, do you guys read the book of Maccabees?
Yes, I have what's the name again? Yeah, man, I have it. The book of Ecclesiasticus, and all of those in it. The book of Tobit and Esther 2 and so on. Yes.
Yes. And
Yes.
as you know, for
the
some
Apocrypha.
time,
That was the word. That's the word I was looking for. Apocrypha. Right.
Yes.
Right. I was looking for
it. As you know, it was outlawed for some time in Jamaica.
Yes.
And that was because many of the slaves had used that book as fueling hot. So it was taken out. It was taken out in the Americas around the early 1700s. And if you examine, like the Greek Septuagint and the Latin Vulgate, all included the books called the Apocrypha.
Yes.
But white Protestants have that removed. Now, I asked you that in context of the mark of the beast for a reason, because it explains it in 1 Maccabees chapter 1. I'm going to read it to you. 1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 41. Listen good to this. It says, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his own laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. So one of the laws the Greeks set up was to be one people. You can no longer keep the laws of God. You have to get rid of that. That is what they set up. Now, under democracy, what does democracy say? We must all be one people.
Yes.
Under Christianity, the popular thought of Christianity is the same as democracy. We must all be one people, whether you're Chinese, East Indian. We must all believe in the white image of Jesus and teach that God's laws are done away with. It is the same ancient policy.
All right, let's touch back now on climate change, because they have the summit on. One of the big push in the climate change session that they have is a document that is called Laudato Si. That's the Pope encyclical document. And in that document, he's pushing for a national Sunday law. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, that's the same thing that we just read in the book of Maccabees, where it said, I'm going to read it again. It says, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws, meaning forget the laws of God. That's what they were pushing then. That's what they're doing now. And Christianity is a factor in that, not keeping God's commandments. They're pivotal in that role. So this climate change thing, and it's going to go through, Mr. Hyper. It's going to go through, just like the homosexual law is passed.
Yes.
That is going to happen. It is going to happen. But we as the Israelites must gather ourselves together according to Zephaniah 2 verse 1. The Lord said, gather yourselves together, O nation not desired. So you and I, the people of Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago, West Africa, Ghana, South Africa, America, Canada, we must gather together in unison as the Israelites keeping God's laws. We must do it to be saved, or we would die here. Christianity today.
Yes.
Okay, the term Christian and Christianity is two different things.
No, that's where I want to go. That's why I posed the question.
Yes. The disciples which followed Christ were Jews and they kept the commandments. The Christians of today follow the doctrine of Antiochus Epiphanes, Greek doctrines, Roman philosophies. That's what they're following. For example, the Christians of today believe in a white image of Jesus. That cannot be found in the Holy Bible. Many of them worship on Sunday, the first day of the week, when God says the seventh day. Okay?
But didn't the apostles gathered on the first day of the week, Bishop, to break bread?
They gathered the first day of the week to collect money. Okay? But that wasn't to worship. It was to collect money. And it says for fear of the Jews. Because remember, the Jews were hunting them down. Remember Paul and them. Paul, before he was called Paul, he was Saul, and he got an edict from the Pharisees to hunt down the followers of Christ, which were all black, by the way. Can I read Acts 13:1? Watch this.
Go ahead.
It says, now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger. The word Niger there was originally pronounced nigger, which means black. So the disciples that gathered, this was just one, like we have a term in America where we call each other, you're black. Yeah, what's up, black?
Yes.
He said it was a popular term as well. It was a nickname.
Yes.
But now society has turned it into something evil. You're black. And they say nigger in the South. You are a nigger.
Yes.
It goes back to ancient times that we just read in Acts 13 and verse 1. Okay?
Yes.
And in church, they will never explain why was these prophets called Niger or nigger. Why would they call that? Well, keep on reading. Just read. Whereas you have to pause and analyze and think about it. Because they were black. They were always black.
And
so the Antichrist, Mr. Hyper.
Yes.
America set up these policies, okay? They set up these policies where you cannot do big business unless you follow their political agendas. That's the movement. That's what it's always been. And one of the main things is not keeping God's laws, as we read in 1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 41. That is the main thing. Get rid of the laws and follow America's policy. For example, when Iraq does not follow America's political agenda, what do they put on these countries that disobey them? Embargo. Yes. An embargo meaning you cannot buy or sell, meaning trade. You can't trade. So we're living Bible prophecy, Mr. Hyper. We are in the midst of it. Our people just have to open their eyes and see it.
But who controls America, the beast that is now ruling? Yes, it is not the president for sure.
No, it's not the president. Not at all. Not at all. Mr. Hyper, it's not, again, I want everyone to understand. The beast with 7 heads and 10 horns is not one guy.
Yes.
For example, let me show you this. Remember what I said earlier about the nation that God hates, right? Remember that earlier?
Yes.
Which is Esau, okay?
Yes.
Remember Genesis 25 about Esau? It said the first came out. Do you remember the color Esau was?
No, I don't remember right off the top of my head right now.
It's red. Genesis 25 says the first child came out red all over like a hairy garment.
Yes, you're right. Spot on, yes.
Right. Then when you read the prophecy that Isaac put on Esau, it said Esau shall live by the sword, and he shall dominate and rule all nations. I'm just paraphrasing. I'm not quoting.
Right.
So now, people will forget that, but watch this. When you get to Revelation 12, watch this. I'm going to show a point. In verse 3, and there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. Many people don't understand why it says red. Why is it saying red dragon? it goes right back. The Bible explains itself. It's still talking about the people of Esau. They're the great red dragon. They're the one that was born red and hairy all over. It's the same people. Revelation, John is just writing it as a similitude, an allegory, a metaphor. So if you don't understand from the beginning of the book, when you get to the last book, you're totally confused. You'll be like, I don't understand. That's what I've seen happen in Christianity.
All right, we have 3 minutes to go. So let's summarize now what we have been talking about since we started. Let's summarize in the 3 minutes that we have left. So you're saying that the mark of the beast is?
America's philosophical political policy. That is the mark, which is sin. In other words, Mr. Hyper, for example, when you read in the book of Revelation, the word sin is only mentioned 3 times, but the mark of the beast is mentioned 8 times. Same thing.
Yes.
It's talking about the same thing. And under sin falls philosophies, policies, political agendas. It's all the same thing because it goes against the laws of God.
And you said the 666 man, it does not necessarily means a single man, but a race.
Exactly. For example, in Jamaica, Britain came over to set up more prisons a few months ago, correct? They said, we're giving you money to set up more prisons, right?
Right.
Why did they give you more money? For jobs, for homes and houses. Do you see the evil? They know poverty incites criminality. So they give you more prisons because you're poor. Why not give us money for the jobs, money for work in homes and houses? That is not their agenda.
Okay, I see your
the devil, Mr. Hyper.
I see your point, and we would need some jobs right now here in Jamaica for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And the next point that you raised this morning, you said that the Christians is different from Christianity. You said Christianity, the people who have that persuasion, they worship on Sunday, and you're saying that that is also a part of the mark of the beast system.
Yes. Because the Christians, according to the scriptures, not only were they black, according to Acts 13:1, but they kept God's commandments.
Yes.
And it's totally different than today.
Okay. And you also said, too, on a side note, that we went down that road, too, that it was the Israelites that were sold into slavery and not, quote-unquote, Africans, although both races had similar skin pigmentation.
Yes, sir. And many of the Israelites are still on West Africa, Liberia, Sierra Leone, South Africa, and in Ethiopia.
All right, Bishop, we're out of time. Your final say, sir.
My final statement is that terrorism is on the rise. It's going to increase. And destruction, according to Revelation 11, America will be destroyed and many of America's allies. We as a people must gather ourselves together and keep God's commandments as the Israelites.
All right, before I go, let me just squeeze this one in, Bishop. If you are so convinced that America will be destroyed, why don't you leave America, head to Israel or to the Caribbean or somewhere else?
Yes, sir. Hey, it's because the Bible prophesies that God will deliver us from the midst of thermonuclear destruction according to Psalms 91, Revelation 11 and 11 down, Hosea 1 and 11. God said he will deliver us from the fire.
Oh, guess what? I know you were going to hit me with that one. I could have said it before. I know you were going to hit me with that one. God bless you, sir. All been well. I'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. Okay.
And for more information, Bishop Nathanyel, our listeners can contact you at
www.israelunite.org or 718-303-9655.
Oh, take your time with that telephone number for me.
Okay, 718-303-9655.org.
Have a God bless day, Bishop Nathanyel. See you next week. Take care, my friend.
Yes, sir. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, Bishop Nathanyel, they're a good friend out of New York, speaking to us here on VYBEZ Radio on a wide range of topics.
Shalom, Israel. I'm Elder Nathanyel of Israel United in Christ. YouTube likes to shut our channels down, as some of you have noticed, ever so often. Subscribing to join IUIC will assure you will always stay connected to our YouTube accounts. We want to do our best to make sure this truth gets out. Please click and join our subscriber YouTube channel called Join IUIC to stay linked to all of our videos. So again, please make sure you subscribe to this Join IUIC channel to get your latest updates from all our YouTube channels. Shalom.